Hey guys, how's it going? Here's the funny thing about YouTube. Nobody wants to hear about my crappy landscape photography because the view count's super low on that, but you want to talk about gear all the time. So I've concluded that I'm not a real photographer enough for you guys to care about my photography, which is probably accurate, but I do talk about gear a lot. And today we're going to talk about gear again. Before I start, funny story, I always used to use not always, but recently have been using the Rode Wireless Go setup. It's great, but I would hit it right here and I would swallow and you guys could hear it and I'd get comments because my, what is this thing called? Rode Video Micro, I thought was broken. I had my Olympus EM5 Mark III at the time and I'm like, gosh, this thing makes a bunch of clicking noise. I stopped using it. Come to find out, it was just the tip of the microphone had become unscrewed. So when I took a step and bumped, it jiggled, I hope. So hopefully this sounds okay. If it doesn't, oh well, I'm shipping it anyways. All right, gear time. All you gasaholics, let's go. Let's fire this up. Let's talk about my X100V XT2 video from a week or two ago about what you would do if you had $2,000, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you guys may or may not know, this is recorded on a Nikon Z6, so that answers half the equation, but let's talk about the camera that's just off frame. I think I can't see myself. This is a Nikon Z6, no flip screen. And talk about why I have this camera in my hands today. Well, it makes a lot of sense. So two things you got to know about me from a camera standpoint, Fuji specifically. I have come to the conclusion that the best color output for in-camera JPEGs of any of the cameras, again, this is an opinion, that Fuji's ever made, is the 16 megapixel X-Trans 2 sensor. I think it's X-Trans 2. This is the camera that, or the sensor that's inside the Fuji X70. My buddy has an X70. He and I went out, and I had my X100V, he had his X70, we shot, and no matter what I did, I could not get to the same color output straight out of camera that he had. And it, of course, different sensors, one's backside illuminated, different lenses, it all makes a difference. And I've always kind of been like jealous a little bit of that output. Now, in saying that, the second thing is I like, on a fixed lens camera, or on those X100V or X70 cameras, I like the 18mm lens, focal length better, 27mm. I like that wide field of view, storytelling, intimate aspect of things. Okay, that's two things you gotta know. Third thing, if I could have it my way, I would love to have the ability to change lenses if I wanted to. So, I am still selling my X100V, although I'm gonna regret it probably at some point because it's such an amazing camera. We'll talk more about that in a different conversation, but I'm holding this camera right here, off frame, off screen, and I'll tell you why I picked it. You ready? Hopefully this autofocus test works. Ready? That's right, that is a Fuji X-E2, not the X-E2S, although that would suffice. Same sensor, same color science. The X-E2 originally was launched, did not have classic chrome. Through updates in Fuji's Kaizen, it did get classic chrome. It does not have acros, which is a kind of a bummer. But the reason why classic chrome is so important to me is because when I do my Fujifilm recipes, a lot of them are built off of classic chrome in the beginning. Whether that's like a portrait simulation or a Kodachrome simulation or whatever, I typically build them off of classic chrome. You'll also notice that on here I have the 18mm f2 lens. So I'm getting the field of view that I want. It's actually faster than what's on the X70. That's a 2.8. This is an f2. And I bought these both used. So I bought this lens off of MPB. Probably could have paid less for it, to be honest with you, but didn't want to wait and try and find it and get something junky off eBay. And I found this X-E2. I think it has like 1,000 on the shutter count. It's in like mint condition. If I were to show you guys this thing, there's not a scuff or scratch on it anywhere. It is mint. I got this thing with the thumb rest for $225. Shipped. I think it's a good deal. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is, and I'll send some samples afterwards, is if you're like me and you do Fujifilm simulations built off classic chrome, the 16 megapixel sensor and the color science they put in this generation of Fuji cameras is unique. It was not replicated on the X-E3 that I had, X-T3, X100V, X-T2 even though I think the X-T2 has great color output, it was not replicated. And so to you guys, if you want to spend just a couple $100 you can grab one of these. They're on eBay all over the place. This was a great one I found. Great deal for $200-something. Fantastic. Now, continuous autofocus performance isn't going to be what they are on new cameras, but I would argue that the high ISO noise that comes out of this, the color output is more film-like, and this camera is in mint condition. And I'll tell you this, I also prefer the ergonomics on this generation camera a little better. I like the D-pad. I'm a D-pad fan. Would a joystick be nice? Yeah, for sure. I do a lot of focus recompose these days, especially on these cameras. I like the wheel right here. That's back here. That's clicky with positioning. And I actually like the AFL, AEL lock buttons right here. It's right underneath my thumb rest versus like having to reach across this top bar that typically is the case on the newer cameras. Long story short, great, fantastic camera. I'm going to show you guys some pictures at the end. Fujifilm simulation, classic chrome. Let me see, what do I shift the white balance for you guys? Let's see what I usually do this as. Dynamic range set at 400, and then for the white balance I do it at red 1, blue -3, and I overexpose by 2/3 of a stop for the most part. Spot metering, focus recompose. I think this is a fantastic fantastic combination. So here's what I'm shooting now. Fuji X-E2 18mm f2. Eventually maybe throw a 35-1.4 or a 23-1.4 or I don't know, whatever I feel like putting on here if I need be, but then you get bigger and it's like, hey, the Nikon's right there. Nikon Z6 24-70 f4, and I'll probably grab a 50mm f1.8 at some point. Okay, for my Fuji fans, agree, disagree? Put the sensor in this, the color output of this generation of cameras. You guys agree with me? I've had them all. I had the XE1, had an X Pro 1, had X Pro 3 for a week, XT3, XT2, X100V, XE3, what else have I had Fuji land? Shot with an X70s, my buddies. Yeah. I keep coming back to the 16 megapixel sensor. This better be 16 megapixels or I am just making myself look stupid. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
La la let me be, la la let me be free.